What up? Trey Hustles back again. New video. Today we're gonna go over the Tamale Act. This shit is new in Colorado. Might be coming your way. So yeah, let's get into it. Fuck it. All right. So I've been seeing a lot of people talking about the new Tamale Act and shit. And some people thinks that anyone could just start a restaurant from their home kitchen or whatnot, but it's not exactly true. I own multiple licensed restaurants here in Colorado, so I want to explain what this law actually means. Who it's for and why opening a restaurant is still a completely different business and beast in itself. Let's get into it. So what is the Tamale Act? So the Tamale Act is pretty much an expanded version of the Colorado Cottage Food Act. It basically expands the types of foods that sellers can offer to customers. It now includes foods that were excluded under cottage law, things that need to be refrigerated, dairy, meats, things like that are now able to be sold by home sellers. I don't know what we're going to call them. I don't know what they're going to be calling them. But before you quit your day job and start cooking shit at home and offering on Facebook Marketplace, there's still some important limitations and shit like that that you need to that we're gonna go over, that you need to know about, that we're gonna go over in this video. So some of the biggest restrictions that I'm seeing in this new rules is it's direct to consumer only. There is not a traditional restaurant, so no dine-in. There are transportation limits. There are food safety requirements. And they also need to register themselves now. So how a licensed restaurant is different from being just a food seller. I don't know what they call it, unlicensed food seller. I don't fucking know what they're gonna be calling these people or businesses. But in a licensed restaurant environment, you have a commercial kitchen, commercial equipment, which is a lot more heavy duty, sturdy. You're able to feed a lot more people. You do have to deal with health inspections. You're probably going to deal with some employees at some point because your business is going to get big enough, hopefully, where you're going to need some staff, at least some help. You're going to be dealing with third-party deliveries, which I don't know if these sellers are going to be able to sell on third parties. I don't know how they're going to be handling it, but I will give you some insight as far as me just opening this new location. I did have some difficulty with the third parties, which I did get worked out. Catering is going to be handled a little bit different, I guess, for these private sellers, I guess. I don't know what they're calling them, man. I honestly don't know what to call them. Alcohol, as far as I see, there's no allowance for doing any alcohol sales. The menus are still going to be limited in some capacity as far as like certain items, as far as they're going to be able to sell because of hold times and just food safety in general. Some of the limits don't allow certain foods to be produced still. Another thing that's going to be different in a licensed restaurant, like I think I already touched on this maybe, is the commercial equipment. Like I have a griddle inside of this building that I bought used. And even used, this fucker was $2,000, okay? So there's a reason that it costs $2,000 for a used restaurant griddle, okay? Versus if you go to like Home Depot. Reason I say Home Depot is because me and my wife, we were joking around when I first started talking about I was going to do this video. we were joking around like maybe I should just close all my restaurants and just sell food out the house. I just go get me, I already got a smoker. I got a smoker. I got a grill. I go get me one of those Black Stones, and I'll just be going hard. You know what I'm saying? But it's a different animal. It's a different animal. You know what I'm saying? The Black Stone that we, the Black Stone. I've cooked on Black Stones. It's not like cooking on a commercial griddle at all. It's not the same. It's just not the same. It just doesn't cook the same. Who do I think that this new Tamale Act sellers, that's what we're gonna call it. Who do I think should be a Tamale Act seller? I think if you never sold food before, maybe you have an idea that you want to see if it can turn into a business, I would definitely do the food safety class and use this as an avenue to get started. If you're trying to improve your recipes, like figure out what's going to work for a restaurant, a food selling business, anything like that, I would definitely use this Tamale Act or whatever version of it you have in your area to figure out what recipes are going to work, tweak your recipes and shit like that, get feedback from customers, things of that nature, start building your brand. If you don't want to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars yet, the Tamale Act lets you kind of get started. It lowers the barrier to entry because I'll tell you right now, renting a building, putting equipment in it, getting the POS, the marketing, just all that shit ain't for the faint of heart, and it's not a side job at all. This Tamale Act shit might just be the best place for you to start. Like if you want to try being a baker, or everybody says that your ribs slap. It might be a good way for you to just try that shit out on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? Selling some rib plates, seeing where it takes you. You know what I'm saying? Who do I think should open a restaurant instead of being a Tamale Act seller? I would say if your goal is to build something that can eventually employ people, serve hundreds of customers every week, offer catering, expand into multiple locations, you try to build a brand, like I said before, then I would say that going more the licensed restaurant approach is going to be better. Even like starting off like in a commissary kitchen and, having, access to, refrigeration over there and being able to go in and cook your stuff, store it there, and then sell it out of there. You know what I mean? It's definitely going to give you it's definitely going to be a step up from being a Tamale Act seller. It's going to get your feet wet as far as being a real licensed restaurant. I actually like this law because it, like I said before, it lowers the barrier of entry for people to try their concept without putting a huge investment up like I did. Because my first restaurant was a mac and cheese restaurant. So, there's not a lot of mac and cheese restaurants, like mac and cheese based restaurants, like in my area or nationwide that I really see. There's not a national player that does it. I know Noodles and Company, they sell mac and cheese, but they're not like a mac and cheese concept like mine. It's a good place to, validate that concept and all that shit. But, it doesn't really replace starting a restaurant, being a Tamale Act seller, but it does create a stepping stone, I feel like, for y'all to get into it and start. Overall, I'm going to say that, I actually think that this Tamale Act is a good thing. It gives people a lower cost way to test an idea before investing hundreds of thousands and, risking a lot of money on a restaurant, because restaurants are considered to be, I don't know how much of a fact it is, but it's always been said to me that restaurants are the #1 failing business in America. It could be just because it's one of the ones that most people try to start. I guess that's my thought. But I think that if your goal is to build a scalable food business with employees, catering, dining, you know, third party brand, like all your branding, multiple locations, you know, a licensed restaurant still gives you the opportunity and the what's the word, capability out the gate to do that. You know what I'm saying? That being a Tamale Act seller is just not going to give you. Um, it kind of creates a kind of like a cap uh, on you. Now, if you're just looking for, you know, something you could do yourself, and you're not worried about like building up into the millions of dollars of sales, um, then Tamale Act selling could be something for the long term. But I see it more as a short term play to get your feet wet in the business, maybe start learning how to control, you know, the cash flow and things of that nature. You know, get your food costs together, just get your feet wet. I feel like this is like kind of like dipping your feet in to the hot tub of the restaurant game. You feel me? Yeah, man, like here's some tidbits that I just like wrote down earlier that I just kind of when I was pondering about this video. Um, some tips and shit. You know what I'm saying? So don't confuse the lower barrier to entry with it being an easier business. It's still a fucking food business. You're still gonna get a bad review. You're still gonna get a hater. You're gonna get a motherfucker that don't like your taco, don't like your banana pudding, don't like your spice, don't like your seasoning, don't like your fucking, I don't know, parsley and shit or whatever you dropping on your shit. They don't like your sauce. Whatever. Who cares? All right? But also remember this. Starting small, it isn't thinking small. So just because you're starting off small doesn't mean that you can't, you know, start off, you know, you can't start off with a Blackstone and a fucking, you know, countertop fryer or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and put your shit together and then eventually go to like a commercial kitchen or a food truck or a brick and mortar, okay? Your kitchen can launch your dream, but it probably won't be where you scale it, okay? So let's say you make a bomb-ass gumbo, right? You selling that gumbo out the crib, that's cool. You gonna make you some money. You probably get, you know, level up a little bit or whatever. But to take that shit to the next level, it's gonna take a lot more than just selling that shit out of your crib. You know what I'm saying? Like you wanna sell that shit nationwide. You wanna sell it, you know, you wanna sell it out of a restaurant, a real restaurant, have a real team behind it. You're gonna have to come over here into the licensed world. You know what I'm saying? Definitely test the recipe before you test your life savings. You feel me? And but also remember that validation is cheaper than regret. So try your shit, man. If you think your brisket's good or your ribs or your chicken or whatever is good, man, try that shit, man. I thought my wife's mac and cheese recipe was the shit, and thousands of people agree. We sell hundreds of bowls of that shit every day. All right, so. Remember that, man. And also remember, restaurant is not just a place that sells food. It's an operations business. You know what I'm saying? You need your shit to be smooth. You need systems. You need the right people. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to learn. You're going to come in this shit as a student. I've been in this shit 5 years and I'm still a student. All right? So, yeah, man. Looking at my notes, man. That's pretty much all I got, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Just remember, man. Always remember, man, whether you're starting a home kitchen or a commercial kitchen, your goal shouldn't be to just sell food. Your goal should be to build a business, a real business, something that you can, you know, build up and eventually put a team in there and maybe go start you another one. Or if you don't, you fuck it. You just go work on your hobby or whatever fun stuff you want to work on and just let the income come in. All right. Either way, it's all good. But yeah, man, it's been another video with your boy, Trey Hustles. Peace.